In the dim glow of a hospital room, where the sterile hum of machines echoed like a relentless heartbeat, Elena Thompson lay motionless on her bed, her once vibrant eyes staring blankly at the ceiling. At just 22, she had been a whirlwind of energy, a budding architect with dreams as tall as the skyscrapers her father built, until a fateful night when a drunk driver's car shattered her world. The crash had stolen her ability to walk, leaving her spine irreparably damaged, her legs lifeless extensions of a body that now felt like a prison. As the weeks blurred into months, hope drained from her like blood from an open wound, replaced by a suffocating despair that whispered she would never dance again, never chase sunsets on foot, never live the life she had so fiercely planned. Her father, Richard Thompson, the iron-fisted CEO of a multinational construction empire, watched helplessly as his only daughter withered, her spirit fracturing under the weight of endless pain and isolation. If you believe in the power of kindness and second chances, hit that like button, drop a comment below sharing your thoughts, share this video with someone who needs a reminder of hope, and don't forget to subscribe to Kindness Speaks for more stories that touch the soul. Richard Thompson had built his life on control and ambition, rising from humble beginnings to command boardrooms where fortunes were made and broken with a single signature. His company, Thompson Enterprises, dotted city skylines with gleaming towers, symbols of his unyielding drive. But nothing in his arsenal of wealth and influence could mend Elena's broken body or reignite the fire in her eyes. He hired the best specialists money could buy, neurologists from Europe, therapists with groundbreaking techniques, even experimental treatments that promised miracles. Yet, each failure chipped away at him, revealing cracks in his armored facade. Elena, once his lively shadow trailing him through construction sites with sketchbooks in hand, now recoiled from his touch, her words laced with bitterness. "What's the point, Dad? I'm just a burden now," she would murmur in the quiet hours, her voice a ghost of its former self. The mansion they shared, perched on a hill overlooking the bustling city, felt more like a gilded cage, its vast rooms echoing with unspoken grief. Richard poured himself into work, burying his pain in mergers and acquisitions, but at night, he paced the halls, haunted by the memory of Elena's laughter echoing through those same spaces. Across town, in a modest apartment where the walls bore the scuffs of a life lived hand to mouth, lived Marcus Hale, a single father whose world revolved around his 8-year-old son, Tommy. Marcus had once been a promising physical therapist, specializing in rehabilitation for spinal injuries, but life had dealt him its own cruel blows. 3 years earlier, his wife, Sarah, had succumbed to a rare illness, leaving him to navigate parenthood alone while juggling 2 jobs to keep the lights on. Tommy, with his mop of curly hair and infectious grin, was Marcus's anchor, a boy who dreamed of becoming a soccer star despite the worn-out cleats they could barely afford. Marcus's days were a blur of early mornings at the community clinic, where he helped patients reclaim fragments of their mobility, and evenings coaching Tommy's little league team. He carried his own quiet sorrows, the ache of loss that never fully faded, the guilt of not being enough, but he masked it with a gentle optimism, believing that every step forward, no matter how small, was a victory worth celebrating. Little did he know that his path was about to intersect with the Thompsons in a way that would redefine hope for them all. Elena's descent into hopelessness was a slow, agonizing spiral. In the early days post-accident, she clung to the doctor's cautious optimism, enduring grueling physical therapy sessions where sweat mingled with tears. She visualized herself walking again, her mind painting vivid pictures of striding confidently into her father's office, portfolio in hand, ready to contribute to the family legacy. But as months passed without progress, the visions faded. Her muscles atrophied despite the exercises, and the phantom pains in her legs became relentless tormentors, shooting through her like electric storms. Socially, she withdrew, friends drifted away, uncomfortable with her new reality, their visits tapering to awkward texts and empty promises. The mirror became her enemy, reflecting a stranger trapped in a wheelchair, her once athletic frame frail and diminished. Depression wrapped around her like a shroud, stealing her appetite, her sleep, and her will to engage with the world. Richard, desperate, converted a wing of the mansion into a state-of-the-art rehab center, complete with hydrotherapy pools and adaptive equipment, but Elena's sessions grew shorter, her participation mechanical at best. She spent hours staring out the window at the city below, envying the pedestrians who moved with effortless grace, their lives untouched by the fragility she now embodied. Marcus's life, though strained, was threaded with moments of quiet joy that kept him afloat. Mornings began with Tommy's excited chatter over breakfast, cereal bowls clinking as the boy recounted dreams of scoring winning goals. At the clinic, Marcus found purpose in his patients' small triumphs, an elderly woman taking her first unassisted steps after a stroke, a young athlete regaining strength post-surgery. His approach was holistic, blending physical exercises with emotional support, often sharing stories from his own life to inspire resilience. "Pain doesn't define you," he'd tell them softly, "it's what you build from it that does." But evenings brought their own challenges, bills piled up, and Tommy's questions about his mother grew more poignant, forcing Marcus to relive his grief while shielding his son from its full weight. He volunteered at a local support group for single parents, finding solace in shared experiences, but romance felt like a distant memory, his heart still loyal to Sarah's ghost. Financially, they scraped by, with Marcus occasionally skipping meals to ensure Tommy had school supplies, his dreams of expanding his therapy practice shelved indefinitely. The turning point began innocuously, on a rainy afternoon when Richard, scouring every avenue for help, attended a seminar on innovative rehabilitation techniques at the community clinic where Marcus worked. The CEO, accustomed to private jets and exclusive events, felt out of place among the folding chairs and fluorescent lights, but desperation drove him. Marcus was presenting, his voice steady and passionate as he demonstrated adaptive exercises using everyday items, emphasizing the role of mindset in recovery. Richard listened intently, his mind racing with possibilities for Elena. After the talk, he approached Marcus, his business card extended like a lifeline. Marcus, recognizing the name from headlines, was taken aback but listened as Richard poured out his story, the accident, Elena's paralysis, her fading spirit. There was a raw vulnerability in the powerful man's eyes, a plea that transcended wealth. Marcus hesitated, his schedule was packed, and taking on a private client like Elena meant sacrificing time with Tommy. But something in Richard's desperation resonated with his own losses, stirring a compassion he couldn't ignore. That evening, as Marcus tucked Tommy into bed, reading a story about underdogs triumphing against odds, he pondered the offer. Tommy, sensing his father's distraction, asked about the sad man from the clinic. Marcus explained gently, framing it as a chance to help someone in pain, much like how he helped others. Tommy's innocent nod sealed it. Marcus would meet Elena, if only for an initial assessment. The next day, he arrived at the Thompson mansion, his beat-up truck looking comically out of place amid the manicured lawns and luxury cars. Richard greeted him with a firm handshake, leading him to Elena's room where she sat by the window, her wheelchair angled away from the door, as if rejecting the world. The air was thick with unspoken tension. Elena barely acknowledged Marcus's presence, her responses monosyllabic, her gaze fixed on the horizon. He didn't push, instead observing quietly, noting the tension in her shoulders, the way her hands clenched the armrests like anchors. Over the following weeks, Marcus's visits became a tentative routine. He started small, not with rigorous exercises, but with conversations, sharing anecdotes from his patients, describing Tommy's soccer mishaps to coax a faint smile from her lips. Elena resisted at first, her walls fortified by months of disappointment. Why bother? Nothing changes, she'd think, her silence a barrier. But Marcus persisted, his patience a gentle erosion against her defenses. He introduced light activities, arm strengthening with resistance bands, breathing exercises to manage pain. More importantly, he listened, truly listened, to her fears, her anger, her shattered dreams. One afternoon, as rain pattered against the windows, Elena broke, tears streaming as she confessed her deepest terror, not the paralysis itself, but the fear of being forgotten, a relic in her father's empire. Marcus sat beside her, his presence a steady comfort, whispering words of encouragement that pierced her isolation. It was in that moment, as he leaned close, his voice barely audible over the storm, that he promised his unwavering support, igniting a spark she thought long extinguished. As their sessions deepened, challenges mounted on all fronts. Elena's physical progress was glacial. Days of incremental gains were often undone by setbacks, muscle spasms that left her exhausted, infections that sidelined her for weeks. Emotionally, she grappled with vulnerability. Opening up to Marcus meant confronting the raw edges of her grief, and there were sessions where frustration boiled over into heated withdrawals. Richard, watching from afar, struggled with his own impotence. Accustomed to fixing problems with resources, he chafed at the slow pace, occasionally clashing with Marcus over methods. "Can't we accelerate this? Hire more help?" he'd demand, but Marcus held firm, insisting that true healing couldn't be rushed or bought. Meanwhile, Marcus balanced this with his life, Tommy's school events missed, bills stretching thinner as he invested more time. Doubts crept in. Was he overstepping, forming attachments that blurred professional lines? Tommy, perceptive beyond his years, noticed his father's fatigue, offering hugs that reminded Marcus why he persevered. Yet, amid the struggles, subtle shifts emerged. Elena began anticipating Marcus's visits, her room brightening with sketches she dusted off, adaptive designs for accessible buildings, inspired by her own experiences. Marcus encouraged this, bringing books on universal design, fostering a sense that her mind remained unbound. Tommy occasionally tagged along, his youthful energy a balm. He'd wheel Elena around the garden, chattering about school, drawing her into laughter that echoed like forgotten music. Bonds formed unexpectedly. Richard found himself confiding in Marcus over late-night coffees, sharing regrets about prioritizing work over family. Marcus, in turn, opened about Sarah, their shared losses forging a quiet brotherhood. Suspense built as Elena approached milestones, a transfer from wheelchair to bed unaided, core exercises that hinted at regained strength. Each victory was hard-won, laced with emotion, as if the universe tested their resolve. The emotional core deepened when Marcus revealed his own vulnerabilities. One evening, after a particularly grueling session where Elena pushed through pain to hold the plank for seconds longer, he shared a photo of Sarah, her smile mirroring Elena's pre-accident glow. "She taught me that hope isn't about curing everything," he said softly, "it's about finding joy in what's left." Elena, moved, began to see parallels, her paralysis mirroring Marcus's widowhood, both irrevocable losses demanding reinvention. This revelation spurred her. She dove into therapy with renewed vigor, her spirit awakening. Tommy became her unofficial cheerleader, his drawings of Super Elena adorning her walls, symbolizing the family she craved. Richard, witnessing this, softened, attending sessions, learning to assist, rebuilding his connection with his daughter through shared vulnerability. Tensions peaked during a stormy winter when Elena faced a severe setback, a pressure sore requiring hospitalization, amplifying her fears of regression. Despair threatened to reclaim her, nights spent questioning if the fight was worth it. Marcus, exhausted from shuttling between hospital and home, where Tommy battled a flu, nearly buckled. Richard, in a moment of clarity, stepped in, covering Marcus's bills anonymously, allowing him focus. This act of quiet kindness rippled. Elena, inspired, recommitted, emerging stronger. Spring brought breakthroughs, Elena maneuvering her wheelchair independently through the mansion's halls, then assisting in a Thompson project remotely, her ideas innovating accessibility features. As months wove into a year, transformation unfolded like a cinematic dawn. Elena, though still paralyzed, rediscovered purpose, launching a foundation for spinal injury research, her voice amplified by experience. Marcus found balance, his practice expanding with Richard's investment, allowing more time with Tommy. Their lives intertwined, family dinners where laughter drowned past sorrows, Tommy calling Elena auntie, Richard mentoring Marcus on business. The whisper that started it all evolved into a symphony of support, proving that help, when whispered from the heart, could echo into eternity. This story of redemption and connection leaves us with a profound reminder. In our darkest hours, a single act of kindness can illuminate the path forward. If this tale has touched your heart, stirred emotions within you, or reminded you of the beauty in human resilience, please like this video, subscribe to Kindness Speaks, and share it far and wide. Your engagement keeps these stories alive. Before we end, I have a special request. Comment below with the line, "Kindness changes everything." If this story moved you, let's flood the comments with positivity and inspire each other.